Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this Mongil Stardive video. So Mongil Stardive released on a global server today, and in today's video we're going to talk about our very own day one progression guide where we discuss about pointers you want to take note of in order to progress as fast as possible on day one. So without further ado, let us start this video. Okay, so on the very first day of the global release, they actually give us a lot of golden keys, and I think some of you guys might actually want to use the keys as fast as possible because you're afraid that you are wasting the recharge of the keys. But there's no need to worry about that, because if you have more than 100 golden keys, what will happen is your excess golden keys on the recharge will be converted to the spare key right here. So you can actually convert it back later on to use as a golden key, as you guys can see. And you can store up to 560 keys, which is like a few days worth of AFK. So there's honestly no rush to use the golden keys, even if it's way past the 100 cap. And on the very first day of the game's release, what I realized is the efficiency of the dungeons, they become a lot better as you level up in the dungeon quality as usual. So you kind of want to farm on the dungeons if you're low on the said material to level up your units. So let's say, for example, if you want to level up all your units to the maximum level and you're low on the EXP tome, that is where you use the golden keys to farm and then use the auto clear to sweep and consume more keys. So you don't have to over farm on the resources, because as you level up your units, if you have sufficient power to push through the story, you will be able to unlock the higher quality dungeons on day one. Like right now, as you guys can see, we're on dungeon 4. So the maximum dungeon quality is dungeon 6. And it is definitely the highest quality if you're able to reach it on day one. But if you cannot reach it on day one, what you want to do is just use your keys whenever you're stuck, whenever you need the additional push to overpower the enemies on certain chapters. So what I realized so far on day one is gold right now is in an abundance. I haven't actually spent anything on gold. So we only did the first clear to get the gems, and then subsequently we haven't cleared everything. So that's that. Gold is not something that you want to farm on day one. I think the essential material is something which you will be farming on day one, because you need it to level up your unit. You need to level up the ascension in order to further level the unit. So this is something that you definitely need to spend some golden keys on. And then there's the elemental materials for the skill levels of a unit. So I think as you push into the higher deficits, the monsters become a lot stronger, and you need additional skill points on your skills for the additional 9 to 10% damage boost overall. So this is actually quite important as well. This is where I dump a lot of golden keys to farm out the materials. So I'm using a wind team and also an ice team, or ice carry. So we're using cloud. So these are the few dungeons which we spend more keys on, these two. And then for the experience, the artifact, as well as the monsterling equipment stuff, we only farm it when we need it. So as you guys can see, we haven't farmed anything on the equipment enhancement yet. Mostly it's on experience. So experience is something which you run low on day one, and artifact. So this is something to take note of in terms of the golden key spending part. And for those of you guys wondering if you can reach certain stages by the end of day one, for example, if you do not have a lot of time to push through as much content as possible, then what you can do is go into the shop and go into the expeditions path right here. So this expedition path basically gives you the keys based off the main story quest that you need to clear. So if you take a look at all this episode 1, episode 2, all the way to episode 3 right here, we have the naming for the various main quests. So some of these main quests, they coincide with the quest to level up to the next dungeon quality within the paths itself. So this is where you can keep track of your story progression on the PvE chapters to the dungeon farming efficiency as well. And since we are still really new to the game, I won't talk about the in-depth team building part, but I can discuss about my current team build as well as my team building rationale right here. So I'll also talk about like my upgrading priority on day one, so that you guys can, learn something in case you guys are lost as to what to do for your own account. So right here we have Sangun, which is my main wind melee carry. And then we have our range carry, which is Cloud. So the reason why I went for Cloud instead of another wind unit is because I want a melee as well as a range character that allows me to switch between the different boss mechanics, because there are certain bosses which are pretty anti-melee. They have some speeding mechanics or speeding attack that constantly push back the melee unit. So it's kind of annoying, and having both the range and melee coverage for the carries will be quite important to have some flexibility in the boss fights. So that's why I went for 1 melee and 1 range. And then we have G1 together with Sangun for the Wind pairing. So G1 right here is an insanely good Wind support unit with the Wind Affliction debuff on the ultimate, as well as the Divine Harmony buff. So this buff right here, as you guys can see, is an insane buff for the whole team. So this unit is not that stats dependent, but we still leveled up her skill because we are maining her, and leveling up her skill allows her to hit a little bit harder, which translates to more damage whenever she's using her support switch skill. So when the unit actually switches out, they actually stay on the battlefield to perform some normal attacks before disappearing. So this is where leveling up their skills to give you more damage allows you to push through against certain really tough stages on day 1. So that's what I did. We level up the skills of Sangun as well as our G1 right here, because this helped me push through certain stages with like very thin margins. And then most of my resources actually went into Sangun to maximize the stat lines for this unit. So we have the artifacts, not the best one, but this is the best one we have on a fighter. And then for the monster link, we also level up our 2 really good monster link to level 40. So we get a maximum stat of Sangun. And this is the main unit that stays on the battlefield most of the time. Right? For our Cloud right here, this unit is mostly used for the switch skill, mostly used for the ultimate skill, as well as 1 charge of the special skill before we switch into Sanguine. So there's actually a combat order where you actually main 1 unit, but you switch around the whole team in order to get a whole bunch of additional damage through the unit sticking around after using a switch skill, or having the buff when the unit switch out, like G1 right here with Divine Harmony. So that's the general idea of combat, and you want to prioritize your resource on your main carry first, because you just don't have enough for everyone. Like, we don't have enough for our Cloud right here. We just went with all the attack stat based equipment so that we're able to max out his DPS. Since he's not staying on the battlefield for too long, I probably won't be upgrading these armors on day 1. So in the future, if I need those additional survival stats, then I'll probably do that. But for the damage side, we are upgrading the glove for the attack, as well as the shoe for the damage efficiency. So very, very important for damage. So that's with regards to my team build. Okay, G1 together with Sanguine. So G1 plus Esther or G1 plus any carry can actually work, because the Divine Harmony is technically not just a wind damage buff. Like, the additional wind damage buff will be great on your wind carries, but even if you are buffing your fire carries, buffing other carries, this unit is just really powerful. I think this is probably the best support in game in terms of buffing. So that's that. And the reason why I don't actually run any healer is because I don't want to spend resources on a healer that doesn't do too much damage. Because there are certain stages where the boss actually hits really hard, and it doesn't matter because you can't actually out-heal the damage output of the boss since you're not spending resources on your healer. So this is where, like, I just went full damage, and then we try to heal on the healing ward and dodge as much as possible in battle. And if you have sufficient defensive stats on your main unit, like for example G1 right here, the main unit can actually stand on the battlefield to tank really well with a lot of defense and HP. So the heal is honestly not that important, at least in terms of content pushing, because as you zoom past the map, you get all these wards right here, which will provide you with full HP. So this is where, like, before a boss fight, there's gonna be a ward. As you run through the dungeons, there's going to be a ward. So your units are most of the time going to be full HP. As long as you are not that bad on dodging, as long as you're able to time the dodges and avoid the attacks of some units, you should be able to survive and push through. So the only challenging part would be on certain boss battles where the boss actually hits quite hard, and you need to know when to dodge so that you are able to min-max on the damage output and survival portion. So that's with regards to the team building side on day 1 for my account. So one thing which I kind of enjoy in this game is just running around, collecting and finding all the treasure chests on the map while solving the puzzles. So for the progression side of things, you kind of want to finish up all the different collection on the map, like the treasure chests, all the different material minings, as well as monster fights, so that you are able to actually get all the freebies available on the map. So all these freebies actually adds up, and you actually get a lot of them. As you guys can see, we have a lot of stage, even just on Elendor. So we have Freeze Breeze, and as you go down, right, we have nearly 10 stages. So this is for Elendor, the very first map. And then the second map is Valheim right here. So yeah, you get even more maps. And some of these maps have a lot of monsters for you to fight, so that you're able to increase your monster collection a little bit faster. And you can return to this map to obviously farm for more monster collection later on. But for day one progression, you want to not skip anything. You just want to run through the whole map, collect everything, and complete the collection so that you're able to max out all the free resources. So that's for the exploration side. So the other additional benefit for clearing everything on the map is the leveling of Nyanas right here. So the maximum level for Nyanas is level 30. And you kind of want to level this up as soon as possible because it greatly increases your drop rate percentage as well as capture proficiency. So you're able to get the stronger monsterlings, which gives you more stats or even more OP skills as you push through the story. So this is where you don't want to miss anything. You want to clear up the whole map so you're able to farm the materials from the minings, and then you're able to farm the monsters for the levels for Nyanas, for your monsterlings in general. Another thing to note is you kind of want to max out your friend list on day one because your friend list actually gives you additional 20 keys daily from the keys gifting system. So this gives you 2 more dungeon farms on the day-to-day basis, and you kind of want to max out your friend list so you're able to max out the daily received key right here. And last but not least, let's talk about how to level up your adventure levels as fast as possible. So you get a whole bunch of adventure levels from all your side quests or the main quest story progression, as well as your path farming. So all the different dungeons grants you the adventure EXP. So this is based off the amount of golden keys you spend. So the more golden keys you have, the higher level you're able to get on day one. So pretty simple. But generally speaking, so far, there isn't too much breaking on the progression side because I think there's supposed to be some level cap to unlock the next main story chapter. But because we are getting so much golden keys on day one with all the side quests available, I haven't actually found myself being really stuck on the story side. At the very least, I haven't been level gated on my adventure EXP. So that's that. So with regards to the progression side, I think that's pretty much it for day one. I think I will be researching a little bit more on the team building side before crafting the video for tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more Mongil Star Dive video from this channel, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys!